Okay, I am making this video because of what just happened in my comment section for my current Impact Wrestling video. Now, I could have done this earlier, but it seems that YouTube always takes a long time to let you have the notification for any video with a comment on it. I always get it like 20 or 30 minutes later. I get my phone ring because Google says, well, your Gmail account says you got a comment on your YouTube channel. I always hate that it's not instantaneous. It takes time before it's processed by Google into Gmail, and then that's it. And then for some strange reason, the YouTube notifications on a web page in your browser always is late as well. Anyway, this is about 3 individuals, 2 of them on the comment and 1 totally separate. You got Gettysburg Balls, I believe. Ballsy. I think that's his name. And you got a Cool Man 952. They were talking between each other. And it was Cool Man 952 that had made the comment to Gettysburg Balls. That's one hell of a name, dude. I like that. And luckily I'm remembering your names if I'm remembering them properly. I'm sorry if I'm not. But he left not only his own comment, but he left a connection to another video. Well, to a video to someone named Tin Man. No, what is his name? MC Tin Man 1. Now, what was the content of the comment? Essentially, they seem to have been going back and forth talking about Tessa becoming a champ, possibly. And it was Gettysburg Balls that was saying, this is not about intergender match. This is just wrestling. I'm not a wrestler. I don't remember his exact comment, but he did say, you're not a wrestler. I'm not a wrestler. We don't have the right to just call it whatever we want. It's just wrestling. And pretty much, Cool Man said, it's not true. Why don't you look at this video to find out what I'm thinking? He didn't say it exactly in the comment, but he left the video to connect. So here we have someone to more explain it. And this is where Tin Man came in. Now, is it Tin or Tan Man? Not Tin Man, Tan Man. And I'm not bashing the guy. Make this very clear. I'm not bashing the guy. The guy has like 160 or 167 subscribers. I don't remember what it is. And it looks like he does a decent job because people have been watching his comments. I mean, not comments, his videos. I'm sorry. And for what I understand from just watching the video, he doesn't do TN Impact anymore, right? At least not now. He's on a hiatus. He's totally upset because of the Tessa Blanchard push the way it is. And he made a comment. Well, a video response, not a comment. A video response because of Andre's own live stream video. How you doing, Andre? Love you, dude. He did his live stream talking about Tessa Blanchard, what he thought, and what other people thought. And this guy tried to explain, I think it was in a 33 or 37 minute video, trying to explain why Tessa being a champ would be bad. And the problem was for me that, well, I've been doing YouTube for 7 years. And it took me quite a long time to really try to remember to make these tangents or rants or try to explain everything condensed as tightly as possible. It's not always possible. Once you begin to go on a roll, no matter if it's a good roll or a bad roll, you just go with it. And I could see that he really was trying his best to really relay what he wanted to say, saying that this is kind of like what he was doing. That wasn't done on purpose. But for me personally, he was trying to explain why having Tessa as champ would not work. And saying that she can be like a... Well, he wasn't saying 100% that China was bad. But she's not a China. She's not a Daniel Bryan. She's just not going to work, period. It's just not going to work. And the thing I have to say for myself, and this is my opinion. You guys, one thing he did say that I would... Well, not to say this, because he has the right to say whatever he says. But for him to say, you may have your thoughts and feelings, but you are wrong, I'm going to say you're wrong, period. And he's right. If you believe the person is wrong, but you still respect them about their opinion, you can say it. But for me personally, in this situation, this is a very difficult, really difficult point we're in wrestling. Because all wrestling promotions to a certain extent have decided to follow the new guidelines of Hollywood, which is to push women at all cost. No matter if the story is good or not, put a woman in place and just let her go at it. And if the story's good or not, who gives a damn? Just do it. And if anybody complains, you're nothing but a sexist pig. That's what I'm getting from Hollywood. And that's what Tan Man was trying to say, generally speaking. Now, this is my thought about it. Is Tessa Blanchard possibly able, I want to make this clear, is she possibly able to become champion? Yes. She can be an X Division champion, she can be a world champion, and she could be both at the same time. I'm going to explain why I said both. And I know one of my subscribers, and it's TNA, Mr. TNA 2005, cannot stand that she become an X Division guy. And he can't stand it. He doesn't want her near the title. But he's perfectly fine with her being champion of the entire thing. And I made this very clear to him and everybody else. Look, you can make anybody be anywhere as long as you package them properly. And I want to make this very clear to anyone who hears this. Gettysburg Balls, Cool Man, even Tan Man. It makes no difference who it is. If you package them properly, they can get over. I want to say this story quickly. I remember it was, who was it? Vince McMahon. He said it himself, back in the 70s and early 80s, no, late 70s, early 80s. He was talking to Pat Patterson, who was running one of his rival promotions. I think it was AWA. He was running it at the time. And he had Bob Backlund. And they were talking between each other. And it was, no, it wasn't Pat Patterson, it was Classy Freddie Blassie. I'm sorry. But he was talking with him and he said, I got this guy. Great wrestler, but he has no charisma. He's like a stick, a stump. And Vince said, well, guess what? Give him to me and I'll make him my champ and he will get over and he won't be boring as a stump. And guess what? Vince managed to do that with Bob Backlund. He was, Bob Backlund was champion for almost the second longest in history next to Bruno Sammartino. It wasn't that Vince couldn't find someone better than him. He just knew how to make him work, how to produce, how to show his character on TV, and how he did it in the ring and outside the ring. He had to prompt him. He had to do what was necessary to get him over so the crowd wouldn't just like him. They love him. And this is what's missing in pro wrestling right now. Real, proper storytelling. It's not about too much high flying. It's not about too much ground and pound or extreme. It's about the storytelling. One of the reasons wrestling has been around for so long is storytelling. Yes, you're still doing amateur wrestling that's been exaggerated. That's what we're dealing with as pro wrestling fans. We're looking at amateur wrestling that has been exaggerated with a story and a predetermined winner. That's what we got. That's what wrestling is in a nutshell. Now, when it comes to Tessa, her storytelling hasn't been good. Because, as I said before, and I'm going to keep saying it, she can either go down the Daniel Bryan route, or she can go down the China route. There's a reason why I say for both. Let's do Daniel Bryan first. Look, a lot of people like Daniel Bryan in the indies. They loved him in the indies. He came to NXT. He went through the main roster. And the company had no interest in him. But he managed to win over the fans enough that the company had no choice but to throw the title on him because he was so over. And that means he was so over, the merch sold, the tickets sold, and the pay-per-view sold. Not huge, but it doesn't mean it had to be huge. The WWE, like most promotions, is going to look at any numbers. If your merchandise sells, if the ticket sales go up when you go on the show, and does the pay-per-view sales go up when you're on the show as well. And that's what they look for. And he won over the crowd, and the pay-per-view sales went up. Not a huge amount. I doubt it went up very high. Like most of the talent in WWE, they're not pushed properly because there's no proper storytelling. So they're not booked properly. And when it came to Daniel Bryan, he was booked properly. He got over at WrestleMania. The crowd went absolutely ape shit for him, as well as the crowds at home who bought all the merch, who watched the shows and went to the arenas when he was still working before he had to go away for 3 years because of an injury, and the pay-per-view as well. It did go up. Now, let's look at China. China brought in by DX, by pretty much Triple H and HBK. The woman was different. She was strong. She was large. She could go up against men. She was allowed to get the IC title. But that was mostly due to the fact of her interacting with DX first. And this is one of the best things about Chyna, that she was in a faction that was so over and helped her to build a character, to build something that can make her interesting, something that can make her into the eighth wonder of the world. No, not eighth, the ninth wonder, because the eighth wonder of the world was Big Show. The ninth number of the world was pretty much Chyna. Now, we fast forward now, 2019, and we're looking at Tessa Blanchard. Where does she fit? Does she fit like a Daniel Bryan, an underdog that had to rise through the ranks, who was being treated by management, who everyone knew that he was not getting anywhere because they didn't want someone small to be the champ? Ergo, what happened with CM Punk. He got treated like dirt even though he held the title. He was treated like dirt. That's the reason why he left. They knew what was wrong with CM Punk. That's why they always chanted for him. And they knew that Daniel Bryan was being treated badly. Ergo, they pushed for him, and the company finally caved and gave them what they wanted. Now, when it comes to Chyna, she gets over. She gets over strong. And she has a group to back her up. And Tessa has neither of these. And this is what I say. At this moment, Tessa is a face, a first-time face, because she's been a heel since she's been in this company from last year. She's a first-time face, and now the problem is this. She has no underdog story. No matter if you're a guy or a girl, as long as you're packaged well. That's the key of it. And I'm making this clear to Gettysburg Balls, to Cool Man, as well as to Tan Man. If you're not having a proper story, this will never work. And as it stands right now, she's a face that has been kicking everybody's ass way too easily, like a Roman Reigns. Essentially speaking, Tessa is showing signs of a Roman Reigns syndrome. I think that's what we should call it. The Roman Reigns syndrome, where the company decides, well, it doesn't really matter about everybody else. Let's just bury them or make them look bad, but we're going to push this person. Yes, Tessa did lose to Sami Callihan at Slammiversary. It's no problem. But if she's destroying every single person, every single time she meets them outside the ring, in almost a majority inside the ring, it just looks bad. And it's not because she is a woman. I want to make this clear. Yes, she's a woman's wrestler. But there's nothing wrong with booking a woman's wrestler against men as long as the booking and storytelling is properly done. She needs to be an underdog. So like I said in some of my Impact reviews, she needed to get her ass kicked and keep getting her ass kicked and keep getting her ass kicked and not getting over at all, and then get her ass kicked again before she finally rises and succeeds. So she could have lost her match with Disco Inferno very easily. She could have had a match with Jake Chris, and she got her ass handed to her, either because of outside interference or just clean. And she gets her ass kicked again, and get her ass kicked again. But she keeps coming back, and keeps coming back. And they keep booking her not to be dominant against other people, but she had to struggle and then build her credibility up and up and up until finally she meets up with Sami after beating Disco Inferno again, after getting her ass kicked multiple times by him, by Jake Chris, multiple times getting her ass kicked by Jake Chris, by David Chris, getting her ass handed to her by him. I would leave Mad Dog Fulton out of it, unless she's going to have backup to mess with Mad Dog Fulton, which would make sense, that she had an extra friend, a sidekick to help her. You leave him out of it, and then she just goes after Sami, and then she, at Bound for Glory, either for the X Division title or the world title, Bob's your uncle, you now seen a rise like a Daniel Bryan. That is option one. Option two, you got her dealing with a faction. The best faction you would have would either be LAX, which pretty much wouldn't make much sense because she's not Spanish and they like only Spanish people in the Latin American exchange. So the best one would be OVE. While she was a heel, she joins OVE. She starts destroying with everybody there. She goes through all of the knockouts, and ain't nobody left. Nobody. OVE helped her as well, put her over in talking and also backed her up in fighting in the ring. And just to mess with everybody, showing that OVE is going to take over everything. She either goes after the X Division title, and OVE helps her to a certain extent, but she still does it on her own. Or, let's say Sammy has tried more than one time to try and get the world title, and tried to get the world title, and tried to get the world title, and pretty much could not do it. So he has the second best way to do it, to really rub it into like a Brian, I know a lot of people are not going to be fond of hearing Brian Cage get his ass handed to him by Tessa Blanchard. But if you build it right, that let's say Tessa did get the X Division title, like I've said, she does the option C, and then she finally goes to Bound for Glory against him. Then she would have OVE in a corner, and they would kick his ass enough that she wins, and she gets the damn title, which wouldn't be a permanent thing, would be temporary, but it would give her some huge amount of credibility as a heel. Now, I know there's some people that want to see her as the face in the company. That's not going to happen. Not because she's a woman, but because she hasn't been built to be the face of the damn company. I want to make this clear. And I know that, who was it? I can't remember who it was who said, was it Mr. TNA 2005 or somebody else? I can't remember who it is. Whoever you are, you're saying that she needs to be the flag bearer for the company. No, she cannot, because she hasn't been built like the flag bearer for the company. She's being built as it stands right now. The way that she looks like she's being built is like a Roman Reigns. I'm being 100% straight. This is a Roman Reigns build. Yes, she got a butt kicked at Slammiversary. Does not mean she's been getting a butt kicked everywhere else. Look what happened in this Impact. You got Tessa Blanchard getting just her ass smacked a little bit. And then she decks and beats the crap out of a Sami Callihan. That easily. That freaking easily. It looks bad for Sami. It doesn't matter if he wins against her at Unbreakable. He still looks bad. That is bad booking. And this is what it all boils down to. Bad booking. It does not matter if she's a woman. And for Tan Man 1. No, MC Tan Man 1. I understand his point of view. It makes a lot of sense. But it's about the booking. And he even said it himself. Booking these days suck for companies. They want to do what's trendy, which, like I said before, is about the Hollywood angle, which is women to be dominant, men to look stupid, and anyone who says it's wrong is either sexist or racist. Well, I'm half black, half Native, black, Native American, and Spanish, Puerto Rican. I'm not racist. I'm proud of all my heritage. I mean, I may even have Chinese in my blood, I don't know. But I'm proud of my heritage. But it does not mean I'm sexist or racist for saying simply, hey, this storyline sucks. I'm not against Tessa winning any title. Just book her properly. Book her to win the X Division title and then try to get the world title through option C. Book her just to go after the X Division title. Book it properly. Or if she's going to go straight for the title, the main title, book her like an underdog, getting her ass kicked every time, and getting it kicked every time, and doing it again and again and again, like a Daniel Bryan who had to keep getting up, even after he got his ass kicked so many times, he almost looked like he wanted to quit, and he did not. Because as it stands, Tessa's not that. She hasn't gotten her ass handed to her, but only once in a while, and then she pretty much beats up everybody. She must be booked properly or this is not going to work. And as I said in my Impact review, us as fans, us hardcore fans, we'll stick around and watch the product and maybe we'll buy the merch, maybe we'll go on, buy the pay-per-view, maybe we'll do the tickets, going to the arenas. But when it comes down to it, we're not enough to maintain the company. As I said before, the one who owns the company, a billionaire I believe, he needs to know this company is going to be profitable. It can't just be in the black. And for the hardcore fans that don't always watch the product, who don't pay for the merchandise, who don't pay for the seating arena, or who don't pay for the pay-per-views, but they are still hardcore fans, they love it, if they're not making enough money, they're in the black. They need, well, not in the black, in the red. I got that backwards, sorry. But you get my point. If they're not in the red because of just the hardcore fans, they need new fans, they need new eyes, they need new fans to come in to bring them from the red, which I said backwards, I said the black. They need to go from the red to the black, and if they can, to the green. That's where they need to be, and we're not getting it. So how do I feel about the possibility of Tessa Blanchard winning? As it stands right now, with 1 week before Unbreakable, I don't see it ending very well. Because it does still look like Tessa is going to win Unbreakable and go against Brian Cage. Now, I could still be wrong, and I would be happy if she goes after the X Division title, get built up for a couple of months to see if people is receptive of her getting a mainstay title. A title that is known to be important. The X Division title. Stay with it for a couple of months before Bound for Glory, and then cashing it in only if the crowd is receptive to it. Remember, she must be receptive to becoming champion. No matter how much people say they like it, they need to look for increased sales in merch, increased ticket sales, and increased pay-per-view sales, which they'll find out in Bound for Glory. So 2 out of the 3 they'll find out. But this is just my point of view. You guys tell me below. Have a good day. Have a good night. Peace!